Good evening. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Newport News School Board for Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. On behalf of the members of the school board and Dr. Mitchell, I welcome each of you present this evening and those who are watching on TV and online. A quorum is present to transact the business of the school division. We have one member of the school board who wishes to participate in our meeting electronically. As indicated in board policy BEE, electronic participation in meetings from remote location, the board member must make such request, cite the reason for remote attendance, and the board must approve the request by majority votes of members present. School board member Lisa Searles Law has made such a request. Ms. Searles Law.
Good evening, board members. I would like to petition that I join this meeting virtually. I am in Arlington, Virginia on work travel.
Thank you. Hearing Ms. Searles Law request, what is the pleasure of the board? Do I have a motion?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair. I move to let Mrs. Searles Law participate in the regular meeting.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Ms. Buffalo, please call the roll.
Alger.
4.
Amon.
4.
Best.
4.
Brown.
4.
Harris.
4.
Hunter.
4.
Motion carries 6-0.
Welcome, Ms. Searles Law. We will begin tonight's meeting with the invocation and pledge to the flag. Here to do the honors are two students from Greenwood Elementary School, Asia Wright and Samuel Johnson. First, Asia will come forward and deliver the invocation. She will be followed by Samuel, who will come forward and deliver the pledge. Asia, will you please come forward and tell us a little bit about yourself before you get started?
Good evening, school board members and Dr. Mitchell. Glad you guys are here. My name is Asia Wright. I am in Miss Giles' 5th grade class at Greenwood Elementary. My favorite subject is math and science because I like exploring new things and figuring things out. What I like to do, my favorite thing, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Take your time.
Take your time.
And what I like about school is that I can hang out with my friends, and that's where I make new friends at. And also when I'm not in school, my favorite things to do is to play outside with my friends. I play basketball and football with my friends. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Asia. Samuel, will you please come forward and tell us a little bit about yourself before you begin the pledge?
Hi, my name is Samuel Johnson. I go to the same school as Asia, Greenwood Elementary. I'm also in Miss Giles' class. My favorite subject is math. I feel like I'm a mathematician sometimes.
Hey.
Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it's puzzling. But you can always get through everything.
That's what I'm talking
right.
about.
All right.
All right.
I like school because I real life get to hang out with my friends. And when I'm at home, I get to call them, play outside, and play games with them.
Very good. Thank you. Ready for us to stand? All right.
And can I get everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated.
All right.
Thank you, Asia and Samuel. Supporting Asia and Samuel tonight are their family members and school family. Please stand and be recognized.
All right.
The board appreciates the encouragement you have given these students, and we thank you for bringing them to tonight's meeting. The next item on the school board agenda is recognitions. Dr. Mitchell, please join me at the podium.
Good evening. I have the honor of presenting this month's school board recognitions. In 2020, the Virginia Board of Education launched the Exemplar Performance School Awards to recognize high student achievement and continuous improvement. The awards program recognizes schools for exceeding state accreditation standards, showing continuous improvement on school quality indicators, and implementing innovative practices. Tonight, we are pleased to recognize 5 Newport News Public Schools that earned recognition through the 24-25 Exemplar School Recognition Awards program. We'll begin with Deer Park Elementary School. Deer Park earned the Board of Education Highest Achievement Award for earning accreditation and demonstrating high levels of success across all school quality indicators, including narrowing achievement gaps and achieving high pass rates in reading, math, and science based on the student pass rate for all students in the school and for each student subgroup in the school, all while maintaining a low chronic absenteeism rate based on the 23-24 school year. Present this evening to accept this recognition on behalf of the Deer Park school community are several members of their leadership team. Please join me in recognizing Principal Scott Meadows. Mr. Meadows, please come forward. Assistant Principal Dr. Cheryl Andrews. A former principal who served last year diligently and started this work, former Principal Mary Jo Anastasia. We'd also like to acknowledge lead kindergarten teacher Amanda Van Dyke, lead first grade teacher Kimberly Wingett, lead second grade teacher Brittany Cam, lead third grade teacher Wendy Lilliston, co-lead fourth grade teacher Kara Latouche, co-lead fourth grade teacher Frida Clear, fifth grade teacher Lori Morgan, and the lead resource teacher Jean Hush. Deer Park students exceeded the 75% reading benchmark and the 70% math and science benchmark, boasting a 91.8% pass rate in reading, a 97.1% pass rate in math, and a 95.2% pass rate in science for the 23-24 school year. In addition, all of their student subgroups exceeded the state benchmarks in reading, math, and science. So we'd like to congratulate the Deer Park Elementary School team for earning a Highest Achievement Award. They're among only 92 schools in the state to earn this honor this year. Please join me in one more round of congratulations.
Virginia Department of Education. Yeah, we modeling some of their successes. Looked at it,
They needed their scientists.
schools earned the Continuous Improvement Awards through the Exemplar School Recognition Program this year: Hydenwood Elementary School, Katherine Johnson Elementary School, Huntington Middle School, and Woodside High School. Schools earning this recognition have demonstrated increases in combined pass rates for reading, math, and science for the past 3 years, or the combined pass rates for 2 or more student subgroups for the past 3 years. Please join us in recognizing our first school honoree team, Hydenwood Elementary School. Please join us in congratulating Principal Megan Aumann. Assistant Principal Naima Gibbs.
Here.
Administrative Assistant Colleen Budlove. And the team of lead teachers: lead kindergarten teacher Patricia McNichol, lead first grade teacher Teresa Dodson, second grade lead teacher Ashley, make sure I get this right, Largina, right? Thank you, Ms. Largina. Third grade lead teacher Caroline Henderson. Fourth grade lead teacher Amber Kamua. Fifth grade lead teacher Lindsay Kent. Our lead special education teacher Shirley Miller. Lead resource teacher John Luck. And reading specialist Kaylee Correll, and reading specialist Rebecca Loftus. Congratulations. Hydenwood Elementary School is noted for continuous improvement in reading and math achievement among several subgroups, and some increase their pass rates by more than 10 percentage points. So congratulations to Hydenwood Elementary School for earning a Continuous Improvement Award. Congratulations. Our next honoree group earned recognition for continuous improvement in overall academic achievement and student subgroup performance: the team at Katherine Johnson Elementary School. Please join us in congratulating Principal Dr. Angela Montpass. Assistant Principal Dr. Heather Hill. And lead teachers, lead kindergarten teacher Kim Wright, lead first grade teacher Barb Peterson, lead second grade teacher Angela Dart, lead third grade teacher Christine G. Otia, lead fourth grade teacher Ariana Bethay, lead fifth grade teacher Susan LaDolcetta, reading specialist Christine Steichelman, and some other members of the team, the Virginia Tiered Support Systems Virginia Tiered Systems of Supports lead Taylor Wade. Professional School Counselor Brittany Shuford. And you'd like to acknowledge Math Interventionist Lori Dilding. Students at Katherine Johnson Elementary School made notable increases in reading pass rates and in math pass rates. So again, congratulations to the team at Katherine Johnson Elementary School for earning a Continuous Improvement Award. Again, congratulations. Congratulations. Our next honorees are from Huntington Middle School. Let's congratulate them for earning a Continuous Improvement Exemplar Award in overall academic achievement and in student group performance since the 21-22 school year. Please join us in congratulating and welcoming Principal Dr. Regina Stafford. And Assistant Principal Deborah Figgs. I also like to acknowledge the lead teachers as well. The lead English teacher, Lisa Mason, the lead math teacher, Demetrius Washington, the lead science teacher, Salvatore Dentu, the lead social studies teacher, Linwood Jenkins, and the lead special education teacher, Jackie Williams. And we also want to take a moment to acknowledge the former principal who couldn't join us this evening, Ebony Griffin, who served for 2 years at Huntington and began leading this important improvement work. So again, congratulations to the team. And again, there were two, while they make their way for the picture. They're both in reading and math performance. They increased their overall student performance and performance in several student subgroups. So again, congratulations to the Huntington Middle School team for earning this Continuous Improvement Award. Last but not least, Woodside High School also earned a Continuous Improvement Award for student subgroup performance. Please join us in recognizing Principal Dr. Mary Hardesty, Assistant Principal of Instruction, Grace Foley, Assistant Principal of Operations, Michael Bellamy, lead teachers, lead English teacher, Kimberly Haywood, lead math teacher, Jennifer Saunders, lead science teacher, Margaret Wiggins, the current lead social studies teacher, Tom Salyers, and the former lead social studies teacher, John Downer, now currently an assistant principal at Warwick High School. And we have two other administrators. Would you please stand and be acknowledged as well? The Woodside team, please. The administrative team, please stand. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, great, thank you. Please stand. Woodside High School students made notable increases in reading and math pass rates in all student subgroups. So again, congratulations to the entire Woodside team for earning this Continuous Improvement Award.
He's been working.
Black brothers. Yeah, they do. Yeah, I know. They really do. Yeah, that's what happens.
I did want to note while they're making their way back to the seat, for the 24-25 school year, there were only 49 schools in the state recognized for continuous improvement. So we're very proud to have 4 here in Newport News Public Schools. Let's give another round of applause to our Virginia Exemplar School Award honorees. And we want to acknowledge, if you have any, for the school teams here tonight, we know that this takes a lot of time and dedication, and certainly it's a collaborative effort among our educators, our students, and their families. So if you have your family with you, would you please stand to be recognized? Any friends, any other school supporters, please stand to be recognized. We'd like to acknowledge all of you. He started us out for it. And it's a whole NNPS proud moment, yes. Thank you. Please share our congratulations with your entire school community. The Purple Star designation is awarded to schools that demonstrate military-friendly practices and a commitment to military students and their families. Virginia, as we know, is home to a large population of active duty, Guard, Reserve, and veteran armed services members. And our public schools educate thousands of military-connected students. This evening, we're proud to acknowledge that General Stanford Elementary School earned designation as a 24-25 Purple Star School second award. General Stanford was previously named a 21-22 Purple Star School. Joining us this evening to accept this recognition on behalf of the General Stanford community, our principal, Jennifer Harnish. Ms. Harnish. Assistant Principal, Raymond Dutton. Military Family Life Counselor, Allison Sigler. Military Family Life Counselor, Julie, let me get this right, Ms. Julie, Canestrari, thank you. I had to take my time, make sure we get it right. Professional School Counselor, Audrey Doubts. And rounding out the team, Joint Base Langley Eustis School Base Liaison, Christine Stiefel. And PTA President, Sarah Campbell. We also want to acknowledge Colonel Laura Hutchinson, the commander, and Command Sergeant Major Jared Matthews for their continuous support as well. To be designated a Purple Star School, school staff must complete training in meeting the needs of military students and name a specific designee to serve as a point of contact for the military families. They must also maintain active partnerships with their military families. General Stanford has a very active PTA, and the school has numerous strong supports in place for the military community that it is so closely associated with. General Stanford also has an Anchored for Life Club, which supports new students as they transition to the school, and it promotes leadership and resiliency among club members. The club provides opportunities for students to enhance social skills, learn leadership skills, build character, improve self-esteem, and integrate into their community. Earlier this year, the school staff participated in a professional development session, Understanding Military Children, hosted by General Stanford's Military Family Life Counselors. Topics covered included fostering resilience in military-connected students, community building in the classroom, and helping military children thrive during deployment. Purple Star schools must also offer online information specifically designated for military families, and they must offer new students peer support to ease their transition. Now, for our schools to be awarded a Purple Star, the school system must also demonstrate its support for military families. So back in September 2021, the Newport News School Board passed a resolution committing to support the approximately 6,500 military-connected students in the school system through ongoing professional development for teachers and to prepare our staff to best meet the needs of all of our military students. So again, we want to say congratulations to this great team at General Stanford Elementary School for their active support of their military families. Thank you. Congratulations. Picture. So please pass our congratulations on to your entire community. And again, this concludes our recognitions for this evening. At this time, we're going to take about a 9-minute break so that our honorees and their guests may leave. If they choose to do so, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting. During this time, our viewing audience will have an opportunity to view this month's School Board Spotlight. So we'll stand in recess for about 9 minutes. Thank you.
During Veterans Day, students throughout Newport News Public Schools took time to thank veterans for their service to our country, giving students a better understanding of the important role of military men and women in protecting our freedoms. Katherine Johnson Elementary honored veterans with a parade around the school. The Crimson Thunder drumline led the spirited procession, with students lining the hallways and holding custom signs of thanks. Afterwards, veterans and their students enjoyed a breakfast, proudly sponsored by Bayport Credit Union. Anchored for Life students who support their classmates when their parents are on military deployment helped serve the meal, thanking our veterans for their service. General Stanford Elementary, which is located on Fort Eustis, honored veterans through music and arts. 4th and 5th grade students performed a series of songs during their Tribute to Veterans. Under the talented direction of music teacher Morgan Cassidy, the harmonious students sang about our country, the American flag, and our brave veterans. To decorate the gymnasium, art teacher Valencia Gross commissioned her young artists to create inspired artwork for the occasion. In attendance were military leaders and Mayor Philip Jones, who is a veteran and a child of a military family, just like the talented students performing for all the veterans that evening. Greenwood Elementary hosted a salute to our veterans with breakfast and a parade. Greenwood's PTA volunteers partnered with neighboring Colossian Baptist Church to host a warm and delicious breakfast for students and the important veterans in their lives. Guests and students were invited to share some insights about their careers and deployments during their military service. It was a wonderful opportunity for students to spend extra time with their parents, grandparents, and family. The morning gathering also gave families a chance to connect with school staff and learn about valuable resources for military families. After breakfast, the entire school lined the hallways, waving American flags and cheering as veterans and their families paraded through. And some brave soldiers and sailors even took time to visit their child's classroom to read a book and answer questions about their service in the military. And Woodside High School, home of the Arts and Communications Magnet Program, hosted their second annual Veterans Day concert. To salute our veterans, Woodside invited Ella Fitzgerald Middle School's 8th grade band, along with Passage Middle School's orchestra, Panther Strings, and their concert band to perform a series of patriotic selections. Woodside's own talented music and choir students offered a heartfelt tribute to veterans with their melodic sounds of freedom and bravery. Through strings, brass, woodwinds, percussion, and their own voices, the music shared during the Veterans Day concert honored the sacrifice and dedication of the amazing men and women of America's armed forces. The third annual Marching Band Expo, held at Todd Stadium, celebrated the diversity and impact of music education in Newport News Public Schools. 600 student musicians performed, showcasing their talents and hard work, along with the dedication of our musical educators across all grades. The evening kicked off with middle and high school students forming a mega band to perform the national anthem. 8th grade student musicians also performed collectively, giving these students an introduction to high school marching band and performing on the big field. The audience was amazed at the talents of our youngest drum lines, with Johnson's Crimson Thunder and Riverside's Boomin' Bears performing with excellence and passion on the track. And our students' musical abilities were on full display as each high school's marching band performed this season's halftime shows. Since the summer, these marching bands have been fine-tuning their performances in preparation for state-level assessments in the fall. Throughout the evening, families, educators, and school and city leaders cheered on our student musicians by sharing airgrams over the loudspeakers, encouraging our student musicians to continue their musical growth through an award-winning musical curriculum in Newport News Public Schools. Busy schedules, transportation issues, and language barriers can keep many families from attending events at school or having access to important resources. So the English as a Second Language Family and Community Engagement Team hosted a community outreach for English learners and their families at Oyster Point Place apartment homes off J. Clyde Morris Boulevard. Various departments from Newport News Public Schools, school board members, community partners, and school leaders from Menchville High School offered family resources and student support at a convenient and accessible location near a large population of Hispanic families. Newport News Public Library handed out free books, while officers with the Newport News Police Department grilled hot dogs and played games with the kids. Other organizations offered resources to assist families with a range of health services, academic supports, and resources for transitioning smoothly to living in a new country by overcoming cultural changes and language barriers. 75 families attended the event, which purposely took place during Hispanic Heritage Month. By reaching out to English learners and their families right where they live, a community pulled together to make families and students feel supported, cared for, and welcomed to Newport News. Our students' mental health plays a huge role in their ability to learn in school, build positive relationships, achieve academically, and manage stress. To offer resources, information, and support, the NNPS Family and Community Engagement Team hosted Your Mental Health Matters. Make it a priority. This is the first of 4 family empowerment forums scheduled this school year, sponsored by Bayport Credit Union. When families arrived to the evening event at Heritage High School, they were treated to a free dinner. At the resource fair, students, families, and educators were welcome to gather information and resources offered by service providers and NNPS departments, each focused on supporting youth and families. During the Mental Health Empowerment session, a panel of community partners, school leaders, faith-based organizations, local experts, and students fielded questions about the impact of trauma, family experiences, and strategies for promoting positive mental health. Our schools play an important role in supporting students' mental health by connecting them to caring adults, providing valuable resources to families and creating a safe and nurturing learning environment. By promoting student well-being and encouraging families to thrive through the Family Empowerment Series, our family and community engagement team is offering the tools needed for academic success and positive social growth for all students. Riverside Elementary spent a month celebrating kindness and learning about different cultures. During National Hispanic Heritage Month, which runs from mid-September to mid-October, the morning show highlighted different Latin countries. Students were invited to share some fun facts about their country's cultures, foods, and colorful clothing. Each student put together informative presentations, creative posters, and proudly shared their Hispanic heritage with the entire school. Later in the month, Riverside held their 9th annual Unity Day Parade. Bright orange is the symbolic color of Unity Day, sending a visible message that building community through kindness, acceptance, and inclusion helps prevent bullying. So Riverside invited their community to join them, with Newport News police officers, Newport News Fire Department, and students from neighboring Christopher Newport University joining the festivities, including Captain Chris himself. Riverside's own Boomin' Bears drumline led the procession in front of the school, as students, staff, and a supporting community used the power of kindness to make Riverside a wonderful place to learn for all students.
You're not getting rid of Russell.
I hope you enjoyed this month's School Board Spotlight. During our regular meetings, we provide time for the public to address the school board. These opportunities are scheduled in the early part of our agenda and towards the end of the meeting. As advertised, citizens may submit comments via email up to 30 minutes prior to our meeting time to be included in the official meeting record. For those of you joining us in person, the board considers this an opportunity to listen to your comments. Please understand that we will consider your concerns. We ask that you comply with our 3-minute time limit. As you begin your comments, a green light will come on. A yellow light signals you have 30 seconds remaining, and a red light and beep indicates your time is up. As your name is called, please come forward. We will first have Reverend Natalie Chamberlain, and she will be followed by Mr. Jim Batterson. I believe she will have someone to speak because she does not have a voice tonight. She has a voice, but she can't project it.
She is silent. This is Reverend Natalie Chamberlain. Pronouns she, her. I am Cece Mazaitis, retired teacher in Newport News. I am part of a broad coalition of citizens who have been attending these meetings for the past year. We support equality and the respectful treatment of all children, including trans and other LGBTQIA+ youth. Tonight we are here to stand in support of revising policy JBP in order that it better protect all students, but especially those who are trans. We recognize that you seek the well-being of all of the students and the staff of the district, and we are with you as you endeavor to make this so. Yet we continue to advocate for the vulnerable in the district since this is taking such a long time. As we approach the holiday season and the uncertainties of a new year, may you find the time and will to finish work on this vitally important policy. The times in which we are living make it even more important than ever. Thank you.
Thank you. Followed by Mr. Batterson will be Ms. Jackie Batterson. Thank you.
Good evening. Previous months, I have provided you with copies. Oh, I'm Jim Batterson, Newport News. In previous months, I've provided you with copies of the latest statistics from the CDC's National Youth Risk Behavior Survey, showing a significant percentage of high school students who self-identify as transgender or questioning their sexuality. This translates into possibly 400 to 500 students in Newport News, and a significant number of students suffer from unstable housing nationally, not having a parent available to regularly confide in or for guidance and support. Moreover, as a military community, we have a significant number of parents on deployment. I implore you to create a clear policy on transgender that addresses the needs both of students in the umbra of transgender, such as defined in your transgender student under the governor's, the VDOE guidelines in your current procedure, JB-P, and in addition, also addresses the needs of that significant number of students that national statistics tell us we have in Newport News who simply self-identify as transgender or gender questioning, thus falling into a surrounding penumbra of the Newport News Public Schools transgender student definition. That is, it recognizes that there are self-identifying transgender children outside of the current JB-P limited definition of transgender student who are in need support services from the school division. A policy that would recognize a significant number of Newport News Public School students do not have theoretically perfect home lives with a mature, supportive adult family member ready and available to them, and therefore these students would benefit from having school faculty and counselors free to have conversations with them that the student can trust to be confidential. And finally, what business does the government have in dictating what people call themselves? For formal communication such as student records, the student's official name as registered shall be used. However, in informal communication such as oral classroom discussions or hallway or mall encounters, call kids what they want to be called and use their preferred pronouns. If a teacher has a personal, religious, moral, or social reason for always using a formal name, fine. But allow the majority of teachers in informal situations to comfortably interact with students using the student's preferred name and pronoun. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Jackie Batterson will be followed by Dr. James Graves.
Good evening. I'm Jackie Batterson and I reside in Newport News. The Rainbow Youth Project, which is a volunteer-run LGBTQ youth suicide prevention and crisis intervention group, receives over 3,500 calls nationally per month. From November 1st to November 7th, it received more than 4,000 calls. These young people's anxiety and fear have increased, affecting their physical and emotional safety in and out of school. Creating a network of support now through trusting relationships with educators ensures that they are cared for and safe in school and feel valued. This can happen if young people are concerned that anything they say confidentially could be reported to someone else. That is the death of communication. Please send a clear message to the students and families that this administration is committed to protecting the students' rights and create a safe and inclusive environment. Ensure students that there are resources available if they experience harassment or bullying or need mental health support. Teachers spend a lot of time with these students, probably in some instances more than the students spend with their families, and are influential in their lives and well-being. Please don't put up a wall between the students and their teachers. Please ensure by policy that your teachers know that they are safe when a student comes to them and that the teacher need not have to report any confidential conversation with a student's parent or guardian. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Graves will be followed by Mr. John B. Bloom. I'm sorry, Dr. Graves.
Good evening. Happy American Education Week. Good evening, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, school board members. Good evening also to Dr. Mitchell. As a product of Newport News Public Schools, born and raised in downtown Newport News, I grew up listening to my mother and elders talk in my community. I listened to their wisdom, their intelligence, and watched how they had grace and mercy at times. Y'all know what that means. As I grew up and decided to be an officer in the United States Army, my mom and elders told me a few things, but this message stuck out the most. They said, son, take care of your soldiers, and they would take care of you. As president of NNEA, I try my best to take care of our members, listen to them, and yes, ask for new ideas and go along with their concerns. The union believes that if you care for your employees, they will take care of you. Unfortunately, this is not happening in some of Newport News public school areas. Many concerns are important to our members who make up this educational foundation at Newport News Public School. The foundation should be more robust due to some of the upper administration of the academic team. We see a culture of do as I say, and not a culture of asking teachers and staff for their input and most things that affect their lives. When you send down a mandate to assistant principals, such as completing 7 walkthroughs a week, which is stressful to them, they have informed us of other tasks that they have done every day, and you have about 25 bullets of what they do every single day. Stress assessments, walking the halls, making sure the weapons detection system's okay, meetings with parents, and so on. The executive academic administrators now have decided to add 7 weekly walkthroughs, which is unfair and plain wrong. The educational leadership team could have asked the assistant principals and principals for their ideas on assisting, but they didn't because it still happens as of today. When will this culture of do as I say stop in our district? We are supposed to work together for our children, faculty, and staff. Another concern is that our bus drivers are struggling with shortage of bus drivers since school started. Bus drivers have been stressed in the transportation department. Most bus drivers are afraid to speak up because of the ugly word called retaliation. They believe this because they have experienced this while working in the transportation department. When drivers call and say that supervisors are walking around the people speaking to HR representatives, and they had to ask the HR representative person to come outside. You have my full report. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bloom will be followed by Mr. David Brakeman.
My name is John Bloom. I was a former Newport News long-term substitute teacher in math. People from math left. But I also am a veteran from the United States Navy. What I'm about to tell you is the truth. And the more things change, the more they remain the same. On January 6th, 2023, Abby Werner was shot by a 6-year-old student in Rich Neck Elementary School. No, Ms. Werner tried several times to have the child removed and from her class. Pleas fell on deaf ears. The changes that were made were in late January and February of 2023. Then Newport News Superintendent, Rich Neck Elementary School principal and assistant principal resigned. Then on July 1st, 2023, most of you are not aware of this, but every member of the school board is. They revised the Policy and Procedures Manual. In it, it states, pursuant to State Code Section 22.3-279.3.1, the superintendent or designee will report all student assaults on employees to local law enforcement authorities. I did not know this document even existed until after the November 5th election, which I was running for school board. However, all current members of the school board know it. On August 3rd, 2023, Dr. Mitchell was sworn in as Newport News Superintendent. As a result of one child antagonizing others in my class, my math lab class, as well as other classes, on October 10th, 2024, at a parents-teachers conference, the parents told myself and others, the parents were very concerned that their child conduct and seemed amazed she was passed into the 6th grade and with what they told us. The parents told us their child stabbed a teacher with a pencil. As a result, oh, by the way, I also subbed at the juvenile detention center. The guards do hand out the pencils, count them to make sure they got them back. Students like this should have been in juvenile detention center. She was sent over to Passage and advanced to 6th grade. As a result, she was removed from that elementary school. Not sure which one. They never told me that. It could have been the same. Could have been Richmond. It could have been some of the others. I've never. Too late.
Thank you, Mr. Brakeman. And followed by him, Ms. Mary Balls.
Hi, Superintendent Mitchell and members of the board. I'm David Brackman, he, him, former Newport News Public School student and current Newport News resident. Please act quickly to make at least some revisions to procedure JPP to promote the safety and dignity of trans students. At least in tone, stop saying in section 3G2 that using the same restroom that a trans person has used in the past presents such a danger that we need alternatives to promote the child's privacy and safety. You can please continue to offer alternatives, but don't suggest things that are unfounded fear-mongering. To reiterate earlier comments, please permit staff to use in casual conversation the name and pronouns that a student sincerely requests. Official documents are a different matter, but there's no need to pull up and enforce my birth certificate when talking to me. Please allow counselors to keep confidentiality where doing so wouldn't endanger others. Additionally, please revise procedure JPP to provide the level of specific guidance appropriate to a procedure. Section 3D6 says that we can't make staff violate their First Amendment rights, which is of course true. But what do you mean by that? What are the specific rights enumerated by the First Amendment as it pertains to addressing trans students? Do teachers have a First Amendment right to misgender students, overriding the request of the student, the parents, and/or the legal record? If so, please summarize those conditions and cite where it comes from. And if not, please stop implying it. Please elaborate on other instances of except where required by law similarly. I hope that the superintendent's office will put forth revision soon, but if not, I encourage the board to use the authority vested in it as our elected representatives for the administration of Newport News Public Schools to vote on the matter. The distinction between policy and procedure is not all that it's always been necessarily made out to be. Tonight's agenda for policies includes procedures that are being voted on. Please keep this in mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mary Voss, NNPS teacher, parent, and graduate, and secretary of the Newport News Education Association. The NNEA is continuing our campaign to win contract negotiations for NNPS teachers and staff. Contract negotiations, also known as collective bargaining rights, give staff and teachers a seat at the table to negotiate for better pay, benefits, and most importantly, better working conditions, such as smaller class sizes, more planning time, more restroom breaks, seniority and job security, and reduced unnecessary testing. NNPS employees, please visit newportnewseducationassociation.com and scroll down to authorization cards to sign. Both members and non-members can sign. Changing gears, I'm hearing that there have been discussions between NNEA leadership and NNPS leadership about possibly reinstating a sick leave bank in the future, and I want to thank you for your consideration of that, since it would allow teachers and staff who have pre-existing conditions and or who are dealing with unexpected health emergencies to be eligible for much-needed additional paid sick leave days. We have a lot of great teachers and staff who want to be at work as much as possible despite health challenges that they can't control, and additional sick days would help alleviate the stress of having to take unpaid leave after running out of their sick days. In addition, I hope that NNPS leadership might also consider creating a true bereavement leave policy in the district. Currently, the only thing similar to bereavement leave in the 2024 NNPS benefits guide was that employees can use up to 3 sick days in the event of the death of an immediate family member, and also a sentence stating that 1 day will be allowed each year for attending funerals of persons not included in the definition of immediate family. Ideally, employees wouldn't have to choose between sick days and time off to grieve the death of an immediate family member. And in addition, sadly, many NNPS employees may experience the death of multiple close but not immediate family members within 1 school year. The following Virginia school districts have bona fide bereavement leave that doesn't require employees to use their sick leave: Virginia Beach Schools, Stafford County Schools, Fluvanna County Schools, and King George County Schools. This is not an exhaustive list, just what popped up in a quick Google search. And finally, in closing, in the current political climate, it is more important than ever that NNPS leaders aim to respect and protect vulnerable students as much as possible. This includes LGBTQ plus students amidst an incoming presidential administration that sadly treats gay, gender nonconforming, and especially trans kids as punching bags for cheap political points. This also includes the children of immigrant and migrant families, especially given the sizable and growing English as a second language population in Newport News. Please stand up for vulnerable children and teens by striving for the most respectful and non-discriminatory policies possible, such as the changes to policies for LGBTQ plus students recommended by several other speakers tonight. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments and thoughts this evening. We will now move on to section 3. I'm sorry, are there any more cards, Ms. Buffalo? We will now move on to section 3, the consent agenda, which includes 3.01 minutes from the work session, October 15, 2024, 3.2 minutes from the regular meeting, October 15, 2024, 3.3 financial reports, including the revenue and expense reports for October 2024, child nutrition reports, 3.4 the personnel report, 3.5, temporary construction easement, 3.6, cell tower lease agreement, 3.7, appointment of deputy clerk. At this time, can we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve the consent agenda. Ms. Buffalo, you may call the vote.
Alger.
4.
Amon.
4.
Best.
4.
Brown.
4.
Harris.
4.
Hunter.
4.
Searles Law.
4.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Okay.
We will move to section 4, action items, 4.1, new and revised policies. Dr. Mitchell.
Good evening. Tonight we will have Mr. Pat Finneran come before you to share with you the proposed FY25 legislative program.
We're doing action 4.101, policies.
I'm sorry.
Action items. You have 2 to vote on.
We have 2. We have new and revised policies.
Let me go through my agenda.
Okay.
So we'll now move on to action items,
Mhm.
new and revised policies.
Yes.
Okay.
And you have, Dr. Best, you have them separated as they're going to be voted on in your packet.
Okay, hold on.
She see it.
Section 4, new revised policies. 401. 401. Did I miss something?
Here you go.
That's 4.01, new and revised policies.
Policies regarding new and revised policies, the 4.1. Policies resulting from the recent state legislation. Should I read these?
Yes, we're going to do them in
Okay.
groups,
Madam
Miss
Vice Chair, I
Miss
think we're
Amon.
gonna try to take them one at a time, and then if there's discussion, we can hit on each one as it comes before the board.
Okay, so I'll begin with AC, non-discrimination.
Madam Vice Chair, I move to make a motion to approve policy AC.
Second.
And then I guess we open for discussion.
Any discussion or questions? It's been moved and seconded that we approve policy AC, non-discrimination.
So then we want to, do what do we want to do?
Someone seconded.
No, we're going to take them one by
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Mr. Brown seconded.
Brown seconds. Yes, I second.
We're going to do each one by one instead of a big group.
You can call the roll.
But sometimes people aren't sure.
Alger,
You can request discussion if there is any.
I asked,
Yes,
was
you
there
did.
any discussion or questions?
Hold on this one.
ready?
Yes.
Alger,
4.
Amon,
4.
Best,
4.
Brown,
4.
Harris,
4.
Hunter,
4.
Searles Law.
4.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay. And now we'll move on to section BEE, electronic participation in meetings from remote locations.
Madam Vice Chair, I move to make a motion to approve policy BEE, electronic participation in meetings from remote locations.
Get a second?
Second.
Any questions? Discussion?
I have one. One thing I'm not sure about, and unfortunately I missed the meeting where this was discussed, is I think this is the one that talks about someone who is attending remotely counts toward a quorum, and this may be a legal question. Is that new? Is that
That was
standard
newly added by statute.
recently?
It did not exist before this last General Assembly session.
Okay, but it was approved
That
by
was
the
added in
General
the-
Assembly.
Freedom of Information Act.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions, discussion? Mr. Brown.
For discussion on BEE, I'll make the comment that the version of BEE as it exists today was augmented during the pandemic. And originally we thought that this was the provisions that are in it were going to sunset at some point. And if, we're years after the pandemic, these provisions haven't sunsetted. So for that reason, I think there is value in the physical gathering of the board, unless there is an actual state of emergency. And so this is nothing against anyone in particular's remote participation, but I just think that there's a value in the public being able to see us physically gather, and that's an important part of what we do. And so I'm not in favor of this continuing what was supposed to be really a temporary policy.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any other?
Yeah, I think a lot of
Harris.
it is also based off of the state had specific guidelines for missing meetings, i.e., if I'm deployed militarily, then that's considered a reason, or in case of emergency. So, I mean, I approve of it, but I can understand where Mr. Brown is coming from.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hand. Anyone else?
Madam Chair, I understand why it was put in place during a pandemic, and I just believe that those folks that are on the board who are elected I don't think that we're missing meetings just to be missing meetings. And then we also put it to the diocese to us for voted on it. So if we feel that there's a member of this board that's missing meetings just to be missing meetings, then it's our duties to not approve, to approve that absentee in person. So we ourselves, if we can't monitor our own selves, I think it's another issue going on. So I know folks travel, we meet. I don't think there's typically times where I've missed a couple meetings I did not call in because I was sick. And so if I was sick, I'm not calling into a meeting because I was duly sick. But when someone truly wants to be at their meeting and they may have things come up, life happens with their jobs, we as 7 board members have the right, the 6 of us have the right, or 5 of us have the right that says, no, we don't accept them absentee to vote on. So again, unless there's an abuse, then we need to handle that abuse. But I think it's still a good practice to have.
Thank you, Mr. Hunter. Anyone else? Comments or questions? Call the roll, Ms. Buffalo.
Alger.
4.
Amon.
4.
Best.
4.
Brown.
Against?
Harris.
4.
Hunter.
4.
Searles Law.
4.
Motion passes 6-1.
All right. Policy IA, instructional goals and learning objectives.
Madam Vice Chair, I make a motion to approve policy IA, instructional goals and learning objectives.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve policy IA, instructional goals and learning objectives. Any questions or comments? There being none, Ms. Buffalo, call the roll, please.
Alger.
4.
Amon.
4.
Best.
4.
Brown.
4.
Harris.
4.
Hunter.
4.
Searles Law.
4.
Motion passes 7-0.
All right, moving on to IAB, literacy plan.
Madam Vice Chair, I make a motion to approve policy IAB literacy plan.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve item IAB literacy plan. Any questions, discussion?
Madam Vice Chair, I'll make the comment that I think this is a great policy, and given the importance of the policy being core to our success for student outcomes and helping students to achieve, I think just that it needed probably another 30 days of work, and we I think we could have gotten something that was really monumental, and given its importance. There's just 2 provisions in there that I think are really necessary, and I don't see in there currently, which is a budget line item for the money that we spend on literacy, including that in our budget, so that we can actually track how much we're valuing literacy as a division. And then, of course, measuring of progress reports in some form or fashion. So absent those things, given the importance of how critical reading is, I just think that the policy was almost there, but just not quite in my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brown. Anyone else?
Madam Vice Chair, just a question, this might be for Dr. Mitchell, but are those things that we as a board that the division can break out for literacy in our budget if we wanted to see it with or without a policy?
Yes.
And then also measuring progress throughout the year. That is also something, I think it's important to get the policy updated as much as possible, but barring another reiteration, it sounds like those are things that we also as a board can ask for.
They are,
and,
yes.
Make sure we do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that, I appreciate the changes made based on recommendations, and including using reference to the VLA. Which I believe does require that we do provide clear communication, and you included that as well. As far as the literacy plan, I do agree that we should report out to the community as well, as long as we're doing it, or to, I think that's important as far as growth and improvement.
Yes, both of those things are things that we as a executive team do look at the line items, so we certainly could share with the board without it being in the policy, the expenditures, as well as we also look at the quarterly data, the unit data, benchmark data to look at where we are with literacy, and that is a report that we could easily provide to the board.
Thank you.
Yes, this is Lisa Searle-Flaw. I would concur that I think that this policy is quite timely, and we should be able to capture both the budget line items and the reporting out in the procedure portion of this policy.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Ms. Buffalo, call the roll, please.
Alger.
4.
Amon.
4.
Best.
4.
Brown.
Against?
Harris.
4.
Hunter.
4.
Searles Law.
4.
Motion passes 6-1.
All right, policy IHAMA, teaching about drugs, alcohol, and tobacco.
Madam Vice Chair, I move to approve policy IHAMA, teaching about drugs, alcohol, and tobacco.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve IHAMA, teaching about drugs, alcohol, and tobacco. Any questions? Any discussion? Okay. Having none, Ms. Buffalo, call the roll, please.
Alger.
4.
Amon.
4.
Best.
4.
Brown.
4.
Harris.
4.
Hunter.
Madam Vice Chair, I move to approve policy KBE, internet privacy.
Second?
Again.
What'd you say, Ms. Searles Law?
She was second.
Oh, I
I'm
said
sorry.
second.
Mr. Brown
All
already.
right, been moved and second to approve KBE, internet privacy. Any questions? Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Buffalo, call the roll, please.
Alger.
4.
Amon.
4.
Best.
4.
Brown.
4.
Harris.
4.
Hunter.
4.
Searles Law.
4.
Motion passes 7-0.
All right. Moving on to policies related to student admissions and attendance. JEC, admissions of non-public students for part-time enrollment.
Madam Vice Chair, I move that we move to approve policy JEC, admission of non-public students for part-time enrollment.
Do you have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve JEC, admission of non-public students for part-time enrollment. Any questions? Any discussion?
Madam Vice Chair, I just offer up for a discussion. I don't see the need to have a policy that says what we won't do, which is what this policy says. This policy says that we won't accept students for part-time instruction. So we have a policy about part-time instruction which says that we don't offer part-time instruction. And I don't think that as the government that's something that we really necessarily need to do to tell people what we won't do. So for that reason, the policy seems extraneous. I could understand if we were striking the policy from the manual entirely because we feel the policy is no longer needed because there was a clause in here about the junior JROTC, and we probably moved that, I believe, to the compulsory attendance portion. But given it's no longer necessary to have this policy, given that the JROTC that portion has been moved to compulsory attendance, I don't see why we'd have a policy that says we won't do something.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Anyone else?
I have a question for clarification. I'm not sure if anyone can speak to it. Was the genesis of this that the JROTC participation, this was sort of in the wrong place for it in the policy manual? And then, part-time enrollment, we do have students that end up in like early college and different things. So how does that play in?
I think the answer is that the reason for relooking at some of these policies was questions raised by the homeschooling folks, and we modified several policies to better conform to the law. This particular policy, I think, is generated because lots of school divisions get questions about whether homeschoolers can do part-time enrollment or other students can do part-time enrollment. There are, I believe, a few school divisions in Virginia which allow part-time enrollment, but most do not. So the reason for the policy is that it's a clear expression that we do not, in Newport News, allow part-time enrollment.
And with someone doing early college, would that be part-time enrollment?
No, because they are enrolled, they're in our schools the other part of the time. Like they started with us.
Or if they're a senior and they only need so many
Exactly, and they
classes,
only
they
need
can leave
certain
early, is that part-time
Yes.
or no?
No, that's not.
So is there another way to communicate that statement versus saying what we won't do? And I sort of sympathize with Mr. Brown. So is there another way to say that, or put it on the front page? You know, we're not.
So it was adopted in 2020, so I mean, that seems like it may have been
Sunset.
caused by COVID or
Yeah.
something.
Well, and so the opposite
So we
would be
sunset it?
full-time enrollment. Is there such a thing? Like, is one, or is break? I mean,
Ms.
you're
Ms.
enrolled or
Brooks,
not
say
enrolled.
something?
Yeah, we'd like Ms. Brooks to come forward.
You're either enrolled or not enrolled.
Thank you for the opportunity, Madam Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, Madam Chairman, members of the board. We did have that policy because, as Dr. Mitchell stated and Mr. Wallen, we do have parents who have requested to enroll their students part-time. They're either homeschool. We have some private school students who want to enroll part-time to, for example, apply to the governor's school or to participate in other activities. So that was to capture those requests, and we do get those. It's not continuous, but we do, and the question is, where is it in writing?
Okay.
So that was
Gotcha.
our attempt to respond to that.
Especially since, this is Lisa Searles Law, especially since other school divisions have a policy of yes, and they're transferring to our division, the question would be, what's your policy? And for us to say we don't have one, that probably wouldn't bode well in that circumstance. Though I do also agree with Mr. Brown in that it's kind of odd to have a policy to say what we won't do. But in this case, it seems somewhat appropriate because we would be asked, what is your policy about part-time enrollment?
So we could work to elaborate more on the policy, but really, we would like to be able to point to the documentation.
And I was gonna say, we can, if there's no other questions or concerns, we can go ahead and vote, and if it's voted up, it'll move as is, and if not, we can go back and look at it again.
Yes, ma'am.
So any other questions or comments? All right, Ms. Buffalo, call the roll, please.
Alger,
Against?
Amon,
Against.
Best,
For.
Brown,
Against.
Harris,
Against.
Hunter,
For.
Searles Law.
For.
Motion failed, 4-3.
Thank you. Moving on to JHD, exemption for compulsory school attendance.
Madam Vice Chair, I move to approve policy JHD, exemption for compulsory school attendance.
Second? Here, second.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we, the motion has been moved and second for policy JHD, exemption for compulsory school attendance. Any questions? Any comments?
I do have one point of clarification, and I think it's important to share with the community. So we're striking a lot of the changes. We're striking any student whose parent has filed a notice of intent to home instruction, and I believe the reason that is struck is because they are meeting the school attendance requirement, albeit in a homeschool fashion. So it doesn't make sense to have it as an excuse because they're meeting it, just not with us.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes. It's really a language thing, but it is true that in the statute, homeschooling is not listed as an exemption. It's listed as a way of meeting
The requirement.
Compulsory education requirements.
Thank you. Any other questions, remarks?
Just the question about the Juvenile Domestic Relations District Court. How is that counted? And meaning, is that request immediately accepted, or is there some delay to that request for admission and counting towards attendance? So in other words, the student was not attending, but then is going to attend, and then when does that clock start, and how do we account for or track the student's attendance?
When you say student was not attending,
Because for whatever reason, they weren't attending until they got an order from the court.
It's whoever has jurisdiction. I mean, it should be jurisdiction regardless. I mean, there's no lapse in jurisdiction, whether school division or whether they're court. So
I think it's the
I don't
flip.
understand
If
the
the
question.
court,
Do you understand what he's asking, Ms. Brooks?
I think the issue is if the court says compulsory attendance is not appropriate for this particular student, then that is an excuse. They're excused from attendance. It's not the court says it's now time.
Okay, now I'm good. Yep.
Does that make sense?
Exactly
I think it's the flip. And then they can certainly change, but I guess one question is that going to count against us for our attendance?
Right,
If
and that
the
was
court
my
says
chronic
no, they
absenteeism.
shouldn't or can't, are we okay?
Right.
From our numbers, do we know?
I don't know.
we can,
Let's
right.
Yeah.
She's our.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, discussion? Ms. Buffalo, call the roll, please.
Alger.
4.
Amon.
4.
Best.
4.
Brown.
4.
Harris.
4.
Hunter.
4.
Searles Law.
4.
Motion passes 7-0.
Moving to policy that supports Newport NNPS best practices.
Is there a number for this?
Yeah, I don't have a number.
Find it.
Madam Vice Chair, I move to approve item 4.02, the local plan for gifted education.
No, there's a
No,
policy
we have
here.
one more.
We have
Oh,
this-
Madam
there's
Chair.
another
Yeah.
policy.
Madam Chair,
Employee
but-
social media policy.
What's the,
Do we need to approve it?
I don't see them.
it's under here.
KB.
There's no
It's
number.
in.
No, we did
My
KB.
apologies, that's in the Human Resources chapter, it's GBEBF, employee use
Oh,
of
okay.
social
Okay.
media. BF, correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Madam Vice Chair, I move to approve item GBEBF, employee social media use.
Can we get a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second that we approve item GBED.
EB, GB.
GBED.
Your EBF.
No, GBEB.
GBEBE, employee social media use.
Almost F.
F.
GBEBF.
Hold up. I got you.
Employee social
GBEBF, employee social media use. Are there any questions, any discussion?
I think not.
Should we have put it in a different chapter?
Change the designation system.
We'll use some military pronunciation. That's a lot.
No questions?
No.
No. All right. Ms. Buffalo, call the roll, please.
Alger.
4.
Amon.
4.
Best.
4.
Brown.
4.
Harris.
4.
Hunter.
4.
Searles Law.
4.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's when you use the.
So, and thank you all for bearing with me through that. So we will now move on to 4.2, local plan for gifted education. Dr. Mitchell.
Seems sort of thing.
You're voting on
So,
Madam Vice Chair,
Madam
I
Vice
move-
Chair, yeah, okay. Madam Vice Chair,
Oh,
I
I'm sorry.
move
I
to.
thought it was under report. Go ahead.
Madam
Mrs.
Vice Chair, I
Brown.
move to approve item 4.02, local plan for gifted education.
Second.
Second. It's been moved to second to approve item 4.02, local plan for gifted education. Any questions, any discussion?
Madam
Mr. Brown?
Vice Chair, I just want to say that I'm really excited about this plan, and it looks like a great plan, and can't wait for it to be implemented. So I'm very excited to see this plan in action and see the benefit it's going to give for our students.
Great. Anyone else? All right, Ms. Buffalo, call the roll, please.
Alger.
4.
Amon.
4.
Best.
4.
Brown.
4.
Harris.
4.
Hunter.
4.
Searles Law.
4.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. We will now move to section 5, reports and information. 5.01, proposed FY25 legislative program. Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you so very much. At this time, Mr. Pat Finneran will come before you to share the proposed FY25 legislative program, keeping in mind this is a draft. It is proposed, and it will come back to you next month for a vote.
That's correct. Thank you very much, Dr. Mitchell, and good evening. Chairman Searles Law, virtually, acting chairman, Dr. Best, school board members, and of course, Dr. Mitchell and all those in the audience. It is that time of year again when we look at the upcoming General Assembly session and legislative issues of importance to the school board. The legislative program that you have is a draft, as Dr. Mitchell said, and it's the board's opportunity to convey what you consider to be some of the key issues for the 2025 General Assembly session. And of course, the draft has been posted on board docs for the community to see and read as well. And again, just to emphasize, this is a draft form. We do have time for revisions after you've seen it and heard some of it tonight. Of course, during this session, legislators will introduce hundreds and hundreds of education bills. And the board, I'll do my best to keep the board up to speed and our staff up to speed as this legislation is introduced. Before we get into this, the legislative positions, however, I'd like to just review a little bit of the timeline that we're going to look at this year for the General Assembly session. First of all, it's a short session. Last year was the long or budget session, and they rotate every 2 years. So short session begins early, January 8th. That's the first or second Wednesday of the month, and ends, if all goes well, February 22nd. Other dates of interest: Take Your Legislator to School Day will be on December 11th this year, and we're very pleased to take our legislators and other local elected officials and dignitaries to show them the Governor's Health Sciences Academy at Warwick High School. And there'll also be a special partnership announcement made at that event, and so we're looking forward to that and to showing off the great work that's going on at Warwick High School and the Governor's Health Sciences Academy. December 17th, the school board then will have an option of taking action and voting on this legislative program. So, obviously, if we have some changes to make after tonight, we'll get those to you early enough for you to look them over. December 18th is the governor's budget proposal. That's a day we all look forward to see how the governor what his plan is for divvying out money to everywhere around the state, including public education. January 23 is PTA Legislative Day, where we get to see a lot of our local folks up there talking with legislators. And January 27th is the VSBA Capital Legislative Conference, of course, when many of our school board members will come up and talk with their legislators about some priorities. And hopefully, if all goes well, early April, we will see the veto session convene and adjourn, and then know what is in the budget and what are our laws for the next upcoming year. So that's just a quick overview. Wanted to take a look. Last year we focused on issues relating to the school funding formula. That was probably the major thing that we looked at last year. And this JLARC Joint Legislative Audit and Review Commission did a landmark study showing that what a lot of people already knew, but they showed just how much underfunding was going on in the state of Virginia for public education when compared to other states nationally. The legislators, I'm pleased to say, responded quickly to the JLARC report, which of course showed significant shortfalls in funding. And to recap, the The JLARC report, in essence, in summary, showed that Virginia funds schools on average about 14% less than other states. That equals about $1,900 per pupil. And if you do the rough math on that, that's almost $50 million a year for Newport News Public Schools alone. So there's some major work to be done in trying to address that, but they did start last year. So let's see, take a look at what happened so that we know what we need to do this coming session. The General Assembly did recognize, complete some good legislative actions that addressed parts, but only parts of the JLARC report. They included about $31 million for additional reading specialist positions, about $34 million a year for English language learner teachers. Worked on the staff support cap reduction, which was an arbitrary reduction in how many people the state would pay for, made really during the Great Recession, and it's been with us now for, I guess, about 14 years. So they're working on getting rid of that artificial reduction, and they put about $205 million a year towards it. Still a long ways to go because this was a major, major reduction in 2010. Consolidating the at-risk and prevention intervention and adding funding, which is great for our school division, $186 million a year statewide. Teacher pay raises, providing a 3% state share for covered staff at about $225 million a year. And they did complete the re-benchmarking, which is done during the budget session every year, and added about $480 million a year through re-benchmarking. And they also provided some specific funding for Newport News Public Schools by way of school security enhancements. So we're pleased with the progress they made, but there's still a lot to do when looking at this JLARC report. And so moving forward, plenty to be done, and it kind of shown on this slide. One of the main reasons for the imbalance between the number of people actually working in our schools and the number funded by the current standards of quality was that reduction in support staff. And as this slide shows, it's really small, and I apologize for that. The graphic on it shows that actual staffing across Virginia schools is 51% higher than what the state formula actually assumes and pays for. So there you go with that. If it was a state formula recognizing all these people that actually work in our schools that we pay for through local tax dollars, again, we'd probably be having somewhere around $50 million more per year for Newport News alone. So the JLARC Joint Subcommittee is looking at this, and it will be probably the major issue in public education this year. And we're lucky to have our own Senator Mamie Locke chairing that subcommittee, or that joint committee. And they are working now to prioritize funding items prior to the session, and they meet again on December 9th. And I know that Dr. Mitchell had a great chance to sit with Senator Locke and talk to her about some of these things not too long ago at a conference. And so they're hearing our voices, and hopefully they will be able to prioritize some things for us this year. Positive fiscal outlook. I put up here that there's a lot to do in terms of a lot of money that would take to actually address all of the GLR things. The good news is Virginia right now has announced a surplus of about $1.2 billion. There's some other reports out there that's showing that there's about another $2.5 billion in additional tax revenue coming for the upcoming year. So that would make almost $4 billion in new money that the General Assembly has to look at in providing to the state this year. So we'll look at that, and we'll try to make the case that an investment in public education and through this JLARC report funding would be a good way to spend some of that money. So the 2025 legislative program really boils down to two major issues. The first is The first was the JLARC report and all the SOQ, the standards of quality funding that we know we need. The second is a new issue that you haven't seen in your legislative program before. I know you've all heard about it, but it's about a new proposal by the state, Virginia Department of Education and Virginia Board of Education for a school performance and support framework to replace the current accountability system for schools. This really came out late summer, early fall, when we started getting word on what it would actually look like. And unfortunately, it hasn't really gotten a lot of support from educators around the state for a number of reasons. One thing it doesn't do is it does not maintain the growth measures that were so important that we worked on trying to get the state to recognize not just did you make the cut, but how far did you grow this year? And I think you saw some of your schools recognize this year because of growth. That's right. And that's an important thing to continue doing. So we'd like to advocate for the state to delay implementing the school performance program to look at growth measures, make sure that they're included and not pushed aside, to maintain ELL support, English language learner support. Previously or currently, English language learners have people who have come to our country and are brand new in the country and the school systems have 11 semesters before they have to take the SOL tests. The new plan would bring that down to 3 semesters. So that's a big change. We'd like to look at what does that really mean. We'd also like to provide the state to provide a way to have a parallel system implementation. In other words, use the system we're using now and use the system that they want to bring in at the same time for at least 1 year. That was done several years ago, and it did show a lot of the problems that were with the new system, just bugs that had to be worked out. But by doing a parallel system, they were able to see, just how much was changing and where it was changing. And lastly, identify the funding supports that are going to be needed for this. If we need to get our ELL students ready in 3 semesters, what kind of funding do we need? What kind of teachers do we need? What kind of extra supports do we need? So those things all kind of have come together to say we'd like to advocate for a delay in this until the 2026-2027 school year. So that would be the new position here. Now we have several continuing positions, raise teacher pay to the national average or above. I don't need to talk to you about how important that is. We're still way behind other states in terms of our prosperity in Virginia, but what we actually pay for our teachers. Increased funds for school facilities, both state funding in terms of grants like they did a few years ago, but also to provide the local options and equalize the local options. Right now, 9 localities around the state have an option of increasing revenue through a sales tax option capped at 1% for a definite period of time, but no other school divisions do, no other localities do. That actually passed both houses, that legislation that we've asked for, passed both houses, the Senate and the delegates last year, but was vetoed. So we want to keep working on that and bring it across the finish line. And then finally, not finally, but this has been a long-standing thing, but to develop a permanent funding stream for one-to-one laptop support, internet access and staffing. When the pandemic came in, we quickly went to a one-to-one with, I think, great success and a lot of hard work by all the people in the school division and school board and funding. Right now, we're spending about $2 million a year. I had previously had $1 million a year. It's gone up to $2 million a year just to keep this going, in addition to what we already paid. So we really desperately need the state to take a look at this. And at the same time, the federal funding that was temporary stopgap measures funding, it has gone away. So it's become a little bit more important, a little more pressing than ever. So there are some other long-term standing positions in your legislative program. but I won't go over those tonight. I just want to say the next steps, and I'd be happy to answer any questions or take any suggestions either now or later. We'll provide our legislators with a copy of the draft program. You have to take your legislator to school day and give them a little bit of a shortened version of this, probably just a couple slides. Take action on this proposal at the December 17th board meeting, and then obviously support the legislative program during the 2025 General Assembly session. So with that, I will stop and see if there are any questions or suggestions. Thank you.
Questions? Suggestions? Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You have a good night.
Thank you. And we'll move right on to new and revised policies. Dr. Mitchell?
Thank you so much. Ms. Tracy Brooks is going to come to share some of the new and revised policies. Thank you, Ms. Brooks.
Thank you very much. Again, good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Mitchell. This past July, the governor released an executive order calling for cell phone free education across the state. In response to the order, the policy committee developed a new draft policy that addresses students' use of cell phones and other personal electronic communication devices in our schools. The policy and procedure are still a work in progress, but we wanted to take the opportunity to speak about the state's guidance and to share our draft documents with you and the viewing public this evening. Now, in addition to the proposed cell phone policy that supports best practices in the school division, the policy committee reviewed all of the policies and procedures in the chapter on foundations and basic commitments and the chapter on education agency relations as a part of the ongoing review of our school board policies required by the state code. And I'll take a moment to speak very briefly about those two chapters as well. The first item this evening is our new draft policy and procedure that we developed in response to the Governor's Executive Order 33, which implements cell phone free education in Virginia's public schools. According to the order, parents, public health professionals, educators, and other stakeholders across the Commonwealth expressed concern over the alarming mental health crisis and chronic health conditions affecting adolescents, such as depression and anxiety, driven in part by extensive social media use and widespread cell phone use among students. The major thinking in support of the order was that cell phone-free education in public schools is essential to promote a healthier and more focused educational environment where every child can learn free of distractions. So why does cell phone education matter? Well, according to data compiled by the Virginia Department of Education, students who carry their cell phones throughout the day look at their phones approximately 51 times a day and receive an average of 237 notifications per day. In 2022, 2/3 of students in this country reported being distracted by using digital devices, and about 54% said that they were distracted by other students using their devices as well. And while students spend an average of 4.8 hours a day on social media, recent studies indicate that spending more than 3 hours per day on social media doubles the risk of poor mental health for adolescents. So based on those data points and others in the Virginia Departments of Education research, cell phone-free education will benefit our students by, 1, providing them with distraction-free learning in their classrooms, creating more focused learning time where teachers can provide instruction without managing distractions from cell phones and other devices. Second, by focusing student instructional experiences on engagement and in-person learning. Third, by allowing students to develop critical communication skills. Fourth, by encouraging opportunities for students to develop authentic in-person relationships during non-structured learning times. And fifth, by improving students' mental health by reducing stress and anxiety caused by feeling the need to respond to social media notifications throughout the day. Now, before talking more about the new state guidance, I would like to review our current policy, which served as a starting point for our work. So presently, elementary and middle school students must keep cell phones and other two-way communication devices, such as smartwatches, off during regular school hours and may use them after school dismissal. The middle school motto is off and away for the day. High school students must keep cell phones and other two-way communication devices off during regular school hours, but are permitted to use their devices during lunchtime and after school dismissal. Cell phones and other two-way communication devices must be stored during the instructional day in students' backpacks, pockets, or may be worn in the case of smartwatches. So over the past couple of months, we've been sharing information from the Virginia Department of Education's recent guidance, ensuring that the use of cell phones and other personal communication devices does not interfere with teaching and learning or with maintaining a safe and orderly environment during the school day. Now, our current cell phone policy is consistent for the most part with the state guidance, but there are a few changes that we are proposing for greater alignment. In following the state guidance, our draft policy restricts the use of cell phones and personal communication devices such as Apple Watches from bell to bell as defined in the state guidelines, which means when the first bell rings at the start of the school day to begin instructional time until the dismissal bell rings at the end of the academic day. Bell to bell includes the time between class periods, in most cases the lunch period as well, but we are proposing an exception, and I'll speak to that in a later slide. In our new policy, personal electronic communication device means any personal device capable of connecting to a smartphone, the internet, or a cellular or Wi-Fi network. Personal electronic communication devices include wearable devices such as smartwatches, personal headphones, and earbuds. Also, for all students, cell phones and electronic communication devices must be stored during the instructional day. In our new draft policy, stored means that a cell phone must be kept in the student's backpack and not carried on the student's person, in the student's pocket, or worn on the student's wrist. Now, our school division's draft procedure to the policy outlines its implementation by level. So this is our new procedure that we are proposing. In elementary school, students will not use cell phones or other personal devices from the opening bell to the dismissal bell during the school day. Students may use devices during after-school activities under the supervision of the teacher or activity sponsor. In middle schools, students will not have a cell phone or other personal electronic communication device during the bell-to-bell school day. They may use cell phones during after-school activities, including off-site school-sponsored or athletic events. The rules for high school students are similar to those for middle school. However, high school students will be allowed to use cell phones and other devices during their lunch period, which is different from the state guidance. The exception was recommended in response to input from senior staff, principals, and students in support of developing students' digital citizenship. For example, our career-ready students may have rules about specific times for cell phone use in their future workplaces, and this will prepare them in learning how to plan accordingly. Allowing cell phone use at lunchtime also provides an opportunity for high school students who are currently working to connect to their jobs if needed. And on a personal note, it allows students the opportunity to manage their responsibilities, from doctor's appointments to last-minute arrangements to pick up a sibling, just for an example. And while our high school administrators believe that we currently have adequate staff coverage for lunch periods, if lunchtime is included in the bell-to-bell time period, they anticipate the need for additional staff in high school cafeterias for monitoring purposes. And as mentioned before, cell phones and personal electronic devices must be kept in a student's backpack and not carried on the student's person, not in the student's pocket, not worn on the student's wrist or around the student's neck for headphones or earbuds. Now, when the Department of Education conducted public hearings across the state informing the new guidance, concerns were expressed about students not being able to use their cell phones and other personal electronic communication devices for medical needs. So in alignment with the state guidance, our policy proposal allows exemptions for students' medical needs, which must be documented specifically in the student's individual education plan or IEP, a 504 plan, an individualized health care plan, or in a limited English proficiency plan for students with a documented language barrier. So in coming weeks, the school division will continue to inform students, staff, and families about this new cell phone policy, which has an effective date across the state of January 2025. So in terms of our next steps, we will disseminate the proposed policy and procedure in Newslines, which is our electronic communication to families, explaining the why behind the policy changes. We will create internal and external communication campaigns to message the policy approved by the school board, and we will work with school leaders on implementing the policy in their buildings, and then we will monitor the policy and procedure for consistent implementation. Next, I would like to speak to the Policy Committee's ongoing policy chapter review process, which included the policies and procedures in 2 chapters. The first chapter was on foundations and basic commitments, which affirms the school board's philosophical commitments through its policies that support academic success, school safety, non-discrimination, drug and tobacco-free schools, student and staff wellness, and other areas. The second chapter on education agency relations addresses the school board's relationships with other school divisions, state and federal agencies, colleges and universities, and public charter schools. The policies and procedures in these 2 chapters are posted on board docs for review, and most of the revisions that the committee made to these policies were minor edits to update and streamline the policy language, to increase alignment with the state code, to reflect current practices, to reduce redundancy, or to make changes to staff position titles. So in terms of our next steps, the new and revised policies, including the cell phone policy and the 2 policy chapters that I just mentioned, will come before the school board for action at your December 17th meeting. And once approved, the new and revised policies and procedures will be posted on our school division websites and Newslines and disseminated to schools and public libraries. So this concludes my report this evening. Mr. Wallen and I will be happy to respond to your questions and to note your suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. Board members? Questions? Questions or comments?
I think I would just encourage the community, not necessarily a question for you, but encourage the community to look at the draft cell phone policy, really think through it. You noted there is that difference of lunch, so really think through that and give us your feedback.
Great, thank you.
I have one question.
Yes.
Is there going to be a survey or something regarding the parents?
Right. We had discussed having a survey to get feedback from the parents, and it's either a survey or proposing our draft, but we are going to solicit their input before moving forward. So, yes, we will be providing that vehicle. Yes.
Thank you. No other questions? Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, let's see. 5.03, attendance reports, 5.04, membership reports, and 5.05, construction report. Board members, you have received a copy of this report. Are there any questions? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to item 5.06, comments by the superintendent, Dr. Mitchell.
Good evening and thank you. Last week was NNPS Proud Week, I extended a sincere thank you to all schools and work sites that participated in this campaign to highlight the incredible work and accomplishments that are happening in every classroom and in every department throughout this great school division. Our goal really was to show that Newport News Public Schools is a vibrant part of what makes Newport News an all-America city. I encourage students, families, staff, and the community to get involved, and you most certainly did. You shared your photos, your videos, and NNPS proud shout-outs with us on social media. Again, thank you for sharing the great things that are happening here in Newport News Public Schools that make this a smart place to learn and work. Last Friday, Newport News Public Schools hosted a site visit for the Department of Defense Education activity, which awarded our school division a grant to expand our dual language immersion program. And you know we are very proud of our dual language immersion program. We had the privilege of hosting over 100 participants from the DODEA Community of Practice Conference, representing various regions across the country. After a brief overview of our program, our guests visited Watkins Early Childhood Center and Katherine Johnson Elementary School for classroom observations, innovative instruction, and demonstrations of virtual reality in world language instruction. A big thank you to our teaching and learning and our world language teams for a very successful site visit. The Youth Development Department presented its 5th annual More Than a Princess Girls Empowerment Conference, which was held on November the 8th and 9th at Woodside High School. On opening night, students in grades 3 through 12 participated in a high-energy, empowered rally with performances, music, and giveaways. The young ladies also had a chance to network with female champions from across the region. Saturday's event included an opening session on personal branding, body image, and the impact of social media on mental health, empowerment workshops on positive self-image, navigating relationships, financial literacy, and interviewing skills, and activities fair that included STEM activities were sponsored by Brooks Crossing Innovation Labs. Special thank you to the Youth Development Team, and we have their director here in the back. Thank you, Ms. Bridget Adams, for coordinating another great empowerment event. Lots of good things are continuing to happen. 10 first LEGO League robotics teams from Newport News Public Schools competed in the regional qualifier on November the 9th at Crittenton Middle School. With 10 teams, we had the most participants. Congratulations to the team from Newsom Park Elementary School, who earned the Core Values Award, and the team from McIntosh Elementary School, who was recognized with the Judges Award. Teams representing Carver, Deer Park, Discovery STEM Academy, General Stanford, Yates, Crittenton, Gildersleeve, and Booker T also competed. I also want to give a big shout out to our high school student athletes for a great fall season. Congratulations to our regional champs, the Heritage High School boys volleyball team, the Menchville High golf team, and the Menchville High girls volleyball team. All of our football teams made it to the regional playoffs last week: Denby, Heritage, Menchville, Warwick, and Woodside. And I know, pretty impressive, right? And the regional semifinals will be held this week. In Class 5, Region B, Warwick High School will face Maury at Powhatan Field on Friday night, November 22nd at 7 p.m. I will close out by reminding all families that schools will be closed for students on Wednesday through Friday, November 27th through the 29th. All offices will be open on a half-day schedule on Wednesday, November 27th. Please spend some time with your family and friends, relax, and rejuvenate. Have a happy and safe Thanksgiving break. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. We will now move on to item 6, another opportunity to hear from the public. Ms. Buffalo, are there any cards?
No, ma'am.
All right, moving right along. We will move to agenda item matters by the school board. Matters by the school board, and we will begin with our student representative.
Good evening. I just wanted to share that the Superintendent Student Advisory Group met for the first time a few weeks ago, and we had the opportunity to share our thoughts about the draft cell phone policy through an activity that was facilitated by Ella Fitzgerald Principal Dr. Ransome and Woodside Principal Dr. Hardesty. We had a great discussion, and we look forward to seeing the final policy that the board approves. I'm also looking forward to attending the student representative to the school board session tomorrow during the Virginia School Board Association's annual convention. Thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you. All right, it's exciting. We'll see you there. We'll see you tomorrow. So we'll move right along. We'll just come right on down we'll begin with you, Mr. Brown.
Okay. Well, congratulations. It has been 5 years, but I see that we have finally gotten through the last chapter of the policy manual. Well, by next month in December, we'll have voted on the last chapter. So it took us 5 years, but we made it through. And then now it's time to start it all over again. But it was great that we embarked on this and made the commitment 5 years ago. So I want to say hats off to the board. Appreciate the commitment for that work, which is, I think, really important work that we're doing because that's the policies are what we say to express what our values are to both the students and the public. So I appreciate that important work. Second thing I wanted to mention, and I just pivoting over to a completely different topic, talk about concussions. Which is near and dear to my heart because I've been watching, and this is no particular comment on any coaches, but I'm just watching this generation of athletes and the players and looking at a lot of games and watching how they fall. And what I'm noticing is that young people in this generation simply have not learned how to fall. And learning to fall is an actual physical skill. It is actually something important to learn. It's something that you learn when you play. So I think it's a consequence of kids play less. They're doing a lot more organized activities as opposed to more general play and then physical education in general. So then they're not learning to fall. And the evidence of that is if you watch, because I sit and I watch even NFL players, their heads are slapping onto the turf. And you want to say that helmet protects your head, but it's not an invincibility shield. You're not supposed to allow your head to smack onto the turf like a lot of players I see them doing. And so I'm not one to bring up a problem without talking about solutions. One, I think young people need to learn how to fall. Learning to fall is actually learning to fall onto your shoulder blades so that your shoulders absorb the impact as opposed to your neck and your head. Tucking your chin, okay, when you fall, so that way, when you fall, your upper body is taking the brunt of the blow as opposed to your brain. Second thing is what I'm observing is I believe that players, athletes in general, because this is across the board, soccer, football, all of these sports where concussions are an issue, they're not strengthening the neck. The neck is what allows you to have the strength when you crash into the ground to actually hold your head up and keep it away from the ground. And so it's critically important, and I think that a lot of, in our strength and conditioning programs, that a lot more youth need to work on strengthening their neck. And it doesn't require a lot of expensive equipment. You can buy a band. So if you don't have enough money for a band, I'll give you $10, you can go get one. You get a rubber band, you tie it to a fence post, and you hold your head, you go this way, you go that way, right, and go this way. And get some repetitions going in, strengthen up the neck, and that will, I know it will reduce concussions because that is something that when talking to, now I'm one of the old guys, right, and talking to guys that I used to play with, and we talk about what's different, what we observed to be different is that young people are not working on their neck strength as we did back in the old days. So that's my public service announcement this evening, is that I just think that's really critically important. That's something that we need to, a point of emphasis for young people, and it's going to significantly reduce the number of concussions. Because as I said, I'm noticing that rate is increasing, and what I notice is that really players just aren't able to fall correctly and hold their head up off the turf.
Thank you. Ms. Harris?
No comments.
Mr. Hunter?
No comment.
Ms. Amon?
Thank you. I'll be very brief. I just want to tell everyone to enjoy the break next week, get some rest, spend some time with your family, and then we'll come back for a few more weeks before the holiday break.
All right.
And I just want to say I'm proud of all the schools that were presented today in terms of growth, and we want to recognize growth each and every school. And I can promise you, even schools that weren't here, they have growth in their data. And we will continue to celebrate and report because we're doing great things. So, and let's continue to do that for our children. Thank you.
Ms. Searles Law?
Yes, that I'm going to echo Ms. Alger's sentiment. That is what's just hung with me this entire meeting is the growth that we are seeing in our division. It is documented and undocumented. And I think it's exciting to know and important to note that this growth is measured after COVID. And for the schools that performed such that they were recognized, by the state is tremendous. And we're just so proud of those educators in those buildings, sticking the course. And then, of course, to our students, to being willing to learn and to do the work so that they can improve and be the best scholars they can be. So I'm very excited this evening.
Okay. And I would just like to say Happy American Education Week. I had an opportunity to read to students at Discovery STEM today, and they just warmed my heart and just once again reinforced why we do what we do. So thank you to all of the teachers and staff for pouring into our young people every single day. Please enjoy your families, enjoy the time off, and just take a breather and just be thankful for the things that we do have, and just enjoy your Thanksgiving break. This meeting is adjourned.